To hell with you, Judge. This penalty is way too harsh.
Mrs. Ashford, you will show respect in this courtroom, or I will hold you in contempt. Now let me tell you why we're here today, and why what you've done has shocked not only me, but this entire community. You are a woman of considerable wealth. According to the financial disclosure you were required to submit, your net worth exceeds $12 million. You own multiple properties, luxury vehicles, and live a life that most people can only dream about. Yet you stand before me today because you refused to pay an $850 veterinary bill that would have saved your dog's life. Let me read from the veterinarian's report. On the evening of October 15th, you brought your golden retriever Bailey to the Riverside Emergency Veterinary Clinic. Bailey was in critical condition, suffering from gastric dilatation volvulus, commonly known as bloat. This is a life-threatening emergency that requires immediate surgical intervention. Without surgery, the survival rate is 0. Your dog would die in agony within hours. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the veterinarian on duty that night, explained this to you in detail. She told you that Bailey needed emergency surgery immediately and that the cost would be approximately $850. You had a choice to make right then and there. Now, most pet owners, when faced with this decision, would do anything to save their beloved companion. They would put the bill on a credit card, borrow money from family, do whatever it takes. But you, Mrs. Ashford, you said something that Dr. Mitchell will never forget. According to her testimony, you looked at her and said, "That's too expensive. I'll think about it." Dr. Mitchell begged you to reconsider. She explained that every minute counted, that Bailey was suffering, that this was his only chance. And do you know what you did? You walked out of that clinic, got into your Mercedes, and drove away. You left Bailey there, in pain, dying, while you went home to your mansion to think about it. Dr. Mitchell, being the compassionate professional that she is, faced an impossible ethical dilemma. She could not legally perform surgery without your consent and payment guarantee. She called you 17 times that night. 17 times, Mrs. Ashford. You didn't answer a single call. She left voicemails begging you to come back, offering payment plans, even offering to reduce the cost. Nothing. Bailey died at 3:47 a.m., 6 hours after you left him there. He died alone, in pain, in a cold veterinary clinic, wondering where his owner was. The dog who had loved you unconditionally for 8 years, who greeted you at the door every day, who slept at the foot of your bed, died because you decided that $850 was too much money to spend on his life. But here's what makes this case truly extraordinary, Mrs. Ashford. 2 days after Bailey died, you spent $3,200 at a luxury spa. I have your credit card statements right here. You had no problem spending that money on yourself, but you couldn't spare a fraction of that amount to save your dog's life. Dr. Mitchell was so traumatized by this experience that she filed a complaint with Animal Welfare Services. They investigated and discovered that this wasn't the first time you'd neglected Bailey's medical care. 6 months earlier, he had an ear infection that went untreated for weeks because you didn't want to pay for the vet visit. The infection became so severe that Bailey suffered permanent hearing damage in his left ear. Now, you might be wondering why you're in my courtroom today. This case came to me because Dr. Mitchell sued you for the unpaid veterinary bill, and during discovery, all of these disturbing facts came to light. Under Rhode Island law, I have the authority to impose penalties for animal cruelty and neglect. And what you did, Mrs. Ashford, constitutes willful neglect resulting in the death of an animal. I want you to understand something. This isn't about money for you, is it? You could have paid that bill with pocket change. This was about something else. This was about arrogance, about a belief that you're above the obligations that come with pet ownership, about a complete lack of empathy and compassion. I've been a judge for over 40 years. I've seen murderers, thieves, fraudsters, and all manner of criminals sit where you're sitting right now. But I can honestly say that few have disgusted me as much as you do right now, because those criminals, at least most of them, had reasons for what they did. Poverty, addiction, desperation, mental illness. But you had no excuse. You had every resource available to you, and you chose to let an innocent animal die rather than part with a tiny fraction of your wealth. The law allows me to impose fines for animal cruelty. In Rhode Island, the maximum fine is typically $1,000 for a first offense. But this case falls under aggravated animal cruelty due to the willful nature of the neglect and the suffering it caused. I'm authorized to impose a fine of up to $5,000 and potential jail time. However, I'm going to do something different today. I'm also ordering you to pay compensatory damages to Dr. Mitchell's clinic for the emergency services they provided, even though you refused to pay. That's $850. I'm ordering you to pay Dr. Mitchell an additional $5,000 for the emotional distress your actions caused her. This woman has dedicated her life to saving animals, and what you put her through was unconscionable. But here's where it gets interesting, Mrs. Ashford. Under Rhode Island General Laws, Section 4132, I have the authority to impose punitive damages in cases of egregious animal cruelty, damages designed not just to punish but to deter others from similar conduct. These damages can be calculated based on the defendant's ability to pay and the severity of the offense. Given your net worth of $12 million, and given the absolutely reprehensible nature of your conduct, I am imposing punitive damages in the amount of $79,150. This brings your total financial penalty to $85,000. Let me break down my reasoning. You earn approximately $400,000 per year from your investments alone. The $850 you refused to pay represented about 0.2% of your annual income. For someone earning $50,000 a year, that would be equivalent to $100. You let your dog die rather than spend what would be, for most people, the cost of a nice dinner out. The $85,000 I'm ordering you to pay represents about 21% of your annual income. Now you'll feel something. Now you'll understand what it means to sacrifice. This money will be distributed as follows: $850 to Riverside Emergency Veterinary Clinic, $5,000 to Dr. Mitchell personally, and $79,150 to the Rhode Island Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, where it will be used to help animals whose owners cannot afford emergency veterinary care. Additionally, I am imposing a lifetime ban on you owning, adopting, fostering, or residing with any animals. This ban will be registered in a statewide database, and any violation will result in immediate criminal charges and potential imprisonment. I am also ordering you to complete 200 hours of community service at an animal shelter. Not a nice shelter where you can just play with puppies. You'll be cleaning kennels, dealing with sick and injured animals, and maybe, just maybe, you'll develop some small measure of empathy for the creatures who depend on us for their care. Furthermore, I am requiring you to attend and complete an animal welfare education program at your own expense to be certified by the Rhode Island SPCA. Mrs. Ashford, I want you to think about something. In your pursuit of wealth, in your comfortable life, you forgot something fundamental about being human. We are measured not by what we have, but by what we do with what we have. We are measured by how we treat those who are vulnerable, those who depend on us, those who cannot speak for themselves. Bailey loved you unconditionally. He didn't care about your money or your status. He just wanted to be with you, to make you happy, to be your faithful companion. And when he needed you most, when he was frightened and in pain and fighting for his life, you abandoned him. You chose money over loyalty, convenience over compassion, selfishness over love. I hope that $85,000 hurts. I hope it keeps you up at night. And I hope that every time you think about the money you lost, you remember Bailey's face and what you did to him. Because that pain, that regret, is the only way you might become a better person. This court is adjourned. Mrs. Ashford, you have 30 days to pay the fine in full. Failure to do so will result in asset seizure and possible jail time. Get out of my courtroom.